Gamers, if you haven't been living under a rock for the past few days, then I'm sure you've been unable to escape the torrent of news and content about Palworld. That's right, you want Pokemon? well, sonny boy. We got Pokemon at home. With guns. I don't know about you, but I've been conditioned like a moth to a dumpster fire. So whenever I see a franchise that is very much a ripoff, I immediately assume that the quality will be very close, if not complete swamp ass. We've all seen it. Abibas, Supreme, those old game cartridges that say they have 100 different games on them, but let's be honest, they were at max 10 and a whole bunch of random fluff as padding. My point being that seeing a knockoff brand inspired from an existing and popular franchise immediately elicits the feeling of a cheap, bad quality product. Boy oh boy though, that feeling goes out the damn window whenever you boop this baby up. Good lord. This game is fun. Barely any story, a solid gameplay loop, and a freaking immersive world filled with Pokemon. One of the directions in which the Palworld devs decided to take this, instead of having a procedurally generated world, they instead opted to handcraft the entire map, making for a more curated experience instead of letting it be random for every server that's generated. Don't get me wrong though, base building survival games that have a procedurally generated world work really well. The OG being Minecraft itself. With this change, however, the choice to make a curated world is incredibly refreshing, making them stand out from the dozens of procedurally generated games out there. When it comes to survival games, it feels like when World of Warcraft popped off from back in the day, and there was basically a WoW clone being released every other second, and none of them being as good. Or when League of Legends and Dota 2 popped off, and the amount of scuffed MOBAs that came out of nowhere. And let's not forget the Battle Royale craze, where every other franchise seemingly wanted to convert whatever genre of game they have into a Battle Royale. And of course that's what they would do, that's the trend, and let's be honest, most franchises that make it in the end aren't the founding fathers. No. They're the cheeky little loot goblins that took the idea and made it so much better. We've seen this in multiple industries, not only in gaming. The biggest one in the past 2 decades, arguably Google dethroning Yahoo and claiming the title of overlord of the internet. Or how Blizzard took Warhammer and EverQuest and just yoinked their ideas and made the absolute banger that we love, Warcraft. Same with League of Legends, looking at the OG Warcraft mod Dota and copied their homework and made some improvements. Bada bing bada boom became one of the most played games in the world of all time. I don't need to keep going, right? I mean, Fortnite yoinking PUBG's Battle Royale. Remember that lawsuit that followed? PUBG tried to sue Fortnite back in the day for stealing the Battle Royale genre, and needless to say, that didn't go anywhere. Look at Fortnite today, it's arguably way more popular than PUBG. In the West, that is. China is a different beast. We could, however, be witnessing the exact same pattern with Palworld here, but the biggest difference is that Pokemon itself is already a titan and pretty much has the market on lockdown. So that being said, I don't ever see a world where Palworld is taking over by any means, but it will most likely carve out a large portion of the pie for itself. Here's a Discord conversation with the lead developer discussing part of how they got started and went about the project. In all honesty, he's the most base dev I've ever seen. Apparently they had some middle schooler who worked part-time at a convenience store do the animation models and gun designs. That's fucking wild. That's some kid doing this as a side hustle and producing better results than some AAA studios. Well, apparently none of the devs knew how to use Unreal Engine and had to be taught on the job. Bruh. I mean, what can I say? YouTube tutorials and the internet low-key OP, right? Better than school? I guess. Yikes. They also based their decision to add guns because they assumed Americans just like to shoot things. God damn. It's just that simple, isn't it? Who would have thought? They also sound like they had an absolutely messy workflow, but not knowing which game version actually worked, and just saved it on a bunch of USB drives hoping for the best. This is so scuffed beyond belief, ladies and gentlemen. But guess what? It works! What conveys this to me is that big AAA studios with the stupendously large budgets and movie-like cinematics don't really matter. Because guess what? they aren't what gamers actually want. All we want is a good game with a solid gameplay loop. Take a cool idea that you think is cool and just make that into reality. Not only that, but let's be honest, if the highlight of your game is some weird social agenda that you want to shove down people's throats and not the actual gameplay, then it's probably, surprise, surprise, not gonna be a good game. If you're some old corporate dinosaur that's too scared to innovate because you're taught certain game design principles as part of your 10 commandments of gaming, then you'll just end up making another soulless open world Ubisoft game. With that being said, what is the gameplay loop of Palworld? What's making it so enticing that so many people are just playing it non-stop? Well, the main gameplay loop starts off quite similar to every other survival game out there. Born in with basically nothing except some raggedy ass piece of clothes and your will to get good. Punch some trees, punch some rocks, make an axe, make a pickaxe, to make punching trees and punching rocks more cool. Build a crafting bench, craft a melee weapon, craft a range weapon. Build a base, make a bed. All in all, pretty standard survival game stuff. And to be fair, that's the main hook that gets people playing for hours alone in this genre. Now here's when things get a little spicy. You get to craft Pokeballs and capture some slaves. I mean volunteer pets, right? You damage them down and get them as close to death as possible. That'll make them easier to capture, with status effects like poison and paralysis increasing your chances. Now they've been captured, they serve two purposes. Essentially, first one being your personal attack dogs. They'll be basically doing the heavy lifting in battles while you're doing some extra damage in the background. You pebble throwing ass thinking you're actually doing something, doing no damage. The other pals though, well, they're part of your great community. Each pal not only has battle capabilities, but working related tasks. For the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Fire pals can heat things up, pals with hands can use tools and make certain things, and chicken pals can lay eggs. You get the picture. Now essentially you're capturing pals, discovering new areas, building your base up to level. As you level up, you unlock more recipes in your tech tree. To basically go from Fred Flintstone all the way to Cyberpunk. And all the while, your Pokemon are there to serve you on your journey. That's basically how the game works, but wow, did the world crave a Pokemon-themed game like this? It's actually nuts how a game like this wasn't made sooner. Nintendo, or more specifically Game Freak, has been sitting on a goddamn goldmine of a franchise and have been producing titles that are good, but to be frank, a little bland and not really pushing the envelope. That is where Palworld comes in, and just nuts all over the demand, man. The demand has always been there, it's just really wild that Pokemon never took the opportunity. But that being said, I don't think they want to or have to. They're literally one of the most profitable companies in the world right now, so despite what criticisms people might have against them, they're doing just fine financially, and I can't imagine they will feel threatened at all by Palworld. Why would they? And that's where the gap in the market is fantastic. To allow smaller companies that have a flexibility and drive of the studio not bogged down by corporate bullshit to come in and take the prize. Usually when the studio starts off with a banger game, a common trend always seems to happen. You start off with a no-name studio with a bunch of ragtag basement-dwelling developers with one dream. And that's to create a banger of a game that'll make your D&D Dungeon Master regret killing your ass despite you rolling a perfect 20. Fuck that guy. When you're just starting out, you don't have much to lose. You have a pitch, an investor that is a mad lad and is willing to support you, and off you go. That passion to make a good game and the ability to execute it properly is the exact result that we're seeing in the indie market right now. The indie market in gaming has never been better. Smaller studios making insane titles are coming out more and more frequently. I mean, just look at last year's success story, Vampire Survivors. They came out of nowhere and dominated the conversation, propelled itself onto one of the most viewed games on Twitch, and apparently, they're getting an animated series or live action one? Wow. I just hope it's as good as Castlevania, cause, hey, I'm excited. Palworld, like Vampire Survivors, is shaking up the industry like never before. However, Unlike Baldur's Gate 3 for instance, which caused a shitstorm of Twitter drama with certain developers attacking it while others defending it to the death, I can acknowledge that although they aren't as well funded as say Riot Games, they did have the perfect storm to create the perfect CRPG. Palworld on the other hand, a jank team of devs that learned on the job, $10,000 budget, a fucking middle schooler, and they just came out and blew everyone out the park. There's no excuse that you can make that justifies that they had an advantage in this one. No ways. If this doesn't make those studios that have a AAA budget give a long, honest look at themselves and what they're making, especially the super mediocre ones, then I honestly don't know what will. Either way, Palworld is here to stay. It's bringing big changes into the industry. The gaming world has been better than ever before. We had an amazing 2023. Here's hoping that 2024 will be even better, if not as good. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be covering more gaming related content on this channel, so leave a like if you liked the video and subscribe if you want to see more. See you guys around next time, and peace.